Have you ever typed out a perfectly good message, read it over 3 times, and then just deleted it? Not because it was wrong, not because you didn't mean it, but because something inside you said, "Don't send that," and you listened. You've probably done this more times than you can count. Typed a reply, deleted it, started over, deleted again, and eventually just put your phone down. And here's what most people don't realize. This isn't random. This behavior is linked to deep psychological patterns that reveal how your mind processes social interaction, fear, and self-perception. Let's break down exactly what's happening when you type messages but never send them. Number 1, you have high emotional intelligence, but you overthink how you'll be perceived. Most people think that typing and deleting messages is a sign of weakness, like you're too scared to communicate, but that's not what's happening. The truth is, you're running advanced social simulations in your head. Before you send a message, you're predicting how the other person will react. You're analyzing tone, context, timing, subtext. You're asking yourself, will this come across wrong? Will they think I'm too much? Will they misunderstand? And that level of awareness is actually a form of high emotional intelligence. You understand that communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how it lands. But here's the problem. You're so aware of all the ways it could go wrong that you start second-guessing yourself. You rewrite the message 5 different ways. You soften your tone. You add extra words to seem less aggressive. Then you realize you're over-explaining, so you delete it all and start again. This is called analysis paralysis. Your brain is stuck in prediction mode, and the more you think, the harder it becomes to just hit send. Number 2, you're protecting yourself from vulnerability. Here's something most people won't admit. Every message you send is a small act of vulnerability. You're putting yourself out there. You're initiating. You're showing interest. You're expressing an opinion. And that opens you up to rejection, to being ignored, to being misunderstood. So when you type a message and don't send it, you're unconsciously protecting yourself. You're keeping the door closed. Because if you don't send it, you can't be hurt by the response or the lack of one. Psychologists call this preemptive self-protection. You're avoiding emotional risk before it even happens. And this behavior is especially common in people who've been hurt before. Maybe someone didn't reply when you needed them to. Maybe someone misread your tone and got upset. Maybe you opened up and regretted it. So now your brain has learned to be cautious. It's telling you, don't risk it. Keep it safe. Just don't send. And even though it feels like you're being careful, what you're actually doing is reinforcing a pattern of emotional avoidance. Number 3, you have perfectionist tendencies that extend to communication. If you're the type of person who types and deletes messages constantly, there's a good chance you're a perfectionist, not just in work or school, but in how you present yourself socially. You want every message to be the right message, the perfect balance of friendly but not too eager, interested but not needy, thoughtful but not overthinking. And when you read back what you wrote, it never feels quite right. So you edit, you adjust, you rewrite, and the more you try to make it perfect, the more pressure you put on yourself. This is linked to something psychologists call impression management. You're hyper-aware of the image you're projecting, and you're terrified of sending something that doesn't match that image. But here's the harsh truth. Perfection in communication doesn't exist. Every message you send will be interpreted through someone else's mood, biases, and emotional state. You can't control that, but your brain doesn't want to accept that. So it keeps you stuck in editing mode, trying to craft the perfect thing to say, when in reality, most people would prefer an imperfect message over no message at all. Number 4, you're dealing with social anxiety, even if you don't realize it. A lot of people who do this don't think they have social anxiety because they can talk to people in person just fine. They can hold conversations. They're not visibly nervous. But social anxiety doesn't always look the same for everyone. For some people, it shows up in digital communication, in the space between typing and sending. Because when you're texting, you have time to overthink. You don't have the real-time feedback of someone's facial expression or tone of voice. You're left alone with your thoughts. And that's when the anxiety creeps in. You start imagining worst-case scenarios. What if they think I'm annoying? What if I'm bothering them? What if they don't reply? What if they screenshot this and show someone else? And those thoughts spiral until the safest option feels like just not sending anything at all. This is called anticipatory anxiety. You're not anxious about what's happening right now. You're anxious about what might happen, and your brain is trying to protect you, by avoiding the situation entirely. But the more you avoid, the stronger the anxiety becomes, because you're teaching your brain that sending messages is dangerous, when in reality, it's not. Number 5, you value authenticity, but you're afraid your raw thoughts won't be accepted. Here's the paradox. People who type and delete messages often have the most honest, thoughtful things to say, but they don't send them because they're afraid their real thoughts are too much, too intense, too vulnerable, too different, so they water it down. They make it safer, and then it doesn't feel authentic anymore, so they delete it, because if they're going to say something, they want it to be real. But if they say something real, they're scared it'll be rejected, so they say nothing. This behavior is deeply tied to a fear of judgment. You know what you want to say, but you're not sure if the world is ready to hear it, or if the person on the other end will understand, and that fear keeps you silent, even though the things you're not saying are probably the most meaningful. This is why so many deep thinkers, creative people, and emotionally intelligent individuals struggle with this, because they see layers in communication that others don't. They understand that words carry weight, and they're terrified of using the wrong ones. So what does all of this mean? If you're someone who constantly types messages and never sends them, you're not broken. You're not cowardly. You're not bad at communication. You're just operating on a different level of awareness. You're thinking deeper, feeling more, considering more angles. But that same depth is also trapping you, because communication isn't about perfection. It's about connection, and connection requires risk. It requires you to send the imperfect message, to be vulnerable, to trust that the right people will understand, and the wrong people don't matter anyway. So the next time you find yourself typing and deleting, ask yourself this: am I protecting myself from real danger, or am I just protecting myself from the discomfort of being seen? Because most of the time, it's the second one, and the only way to break the pattern is to hit send, even when it doesn't feel perfect, even when you're not sure, even when it's scary, because the messages you're not sending might be the ones someone actually needs to hear. If this hit close to home, subscribe for more psychology that explains why you do the things you do, and drop a comment if you've ever spent 10 minutes writing a message just to delete it all. You're not alone.